$20,000.
Let me get the radio.
Rapid County Fairgrounds?
Rapid County Fairgrounds, yep.
Okay. The Sea Fury, is that another plane that's big?
Twice as big.
So anyway, I brought this, I offered to bring this, obviously it's not finished, to bring some interest into scale modeling. Just to give you some information about the plane, this is actually an original Byron, for whoever's familiar with Byron kit.
Yeah.
Okay? Oh, yeah. Well, that's an original Byron kit, not the Iron Bay. And that's my second one. I lost the first one when Spectrum came out with a module for the 9303 GR radio. And that's the first time I was using a GR radio, and that was the last time too. And Spectrum as well. So I'm a Futaba guy. And so anyway, this model is going to be about 30 pounds, which is about what most six-scale Corsair weighs. The engine I'm using is Auto Start 3W EME 70 twin.
EME?
EME. EME 70 has an onboard start on it. Nice. Everything, the starting is all automatic in a way. I control all the starting through my radio, the choke, the starter, the fuel, so on and so forth. Everything is on the radio. I use a 13 channel on that airplane.
Wow.
Servo-wise, they 2, 4, somewhere around 13, 14 servos. The gears Robart. So I did a lot of modification, but what you see is pretty much a project in progress. And what I want to bring is the attention to scale modeling. During all the years I've been building, which I started around the age of 14, 15 years old. My interest went mostly into the scale modeling. I mean, a lot of people fly formies. There's definitely the hobby for everybody. But the scale technique I use can be applied to a formie as well, can be applied to any other airplane if you want to dress them up. They can be simple, they can be complicated. On this model, I use a lot of technique I want to try. So, for example, this one I use aluminum base coat. Well, this aluminum here, all it is the professional aluminum paint from Home Depot. Okay, instead of buying an expensive class coat, which I use a lot of class coat, which is an epoxy base paint, color match. I wanted to try. I did some tests with that paint. For example, one can, I use only half can to spray on this airplane. And the avantage of that paint is not only is $5, $5.99.
So it's a rattle can.
It's a can. It's one of the professional big can from aluminum. You shake it. I went outside in the back on the patio. It was calm. I said, okay, let's spray the things. After, of course, I did all the rivets and the raised panel, so on and so forth. And what I use, a technique which was great, is I use steel wool. Okay, so you have various grades of steel wool. You have single O, double O, triple O, and what's not. And on this one, I use a triple O steel wool, and I just nicely scratch the paint in the direction of the airflow. So that's the result you see. Of course, if you touch it, you're gonna get some on your fingers. So, but it's no big deal. So you can do that on your foamy airplane because the layer you put on your airplane is very thin. It's pretty much no weight to it. So of course you have to test if you use EPP foam or any other type of foam. Make sure it is compatible. So that's our technique. Rivets, of course, I don't suggest you do it on your foam, okay? Because you're gonna go through. But so if you see here, if you touch, you're gonna see a lot of panel erased, okay? And there's different technique I use to mimic those access panel. For example, the step here, mimic the hinges. So what I want to bring to your interest is, what would you be interested, is any interest you have in some skills about scaling up your airplane? Is anything yourself you like to learn in a way where I can show how to rubber mold. I can show to vacuum form and do it very cheap. Okay, because I build most of the tools I have. I can show you how to do rivets. If you have a little 40 size airplane, you can dress it up pretty nicely. It's just a question, you know, it's during the winter, you know, you have a project, your foamy is like buy and crash. On the side, you can buy a nice little 40 size airplane, civilian or whatever, classic, it can be anything.
You tweak it.
You can dress it up, make it look pretty cool. Okay, whatever works for you. You know, probably what scares you the most is what technique to use, because you probably don't know how to do it. And that's where I come in, is I can show you how to detail the rubber molding. Now you have more likely access to a 3D printer. If not, you can let me know, I'll print your stuff. And you can repeat the items by making a rubber mold. Not only is faster to repeat to reproduce the item, but it's also cheaper, okay? Because it takes the plastic, liquid plastic, casting plastic, which I use, it takes about 3-4 minutes to harden. And every 10 minutes you have a new part. I'll try to do that with a 3D printer. Okay, so it's good to prototype with a 3D printer and test, but it's also great if you want to reproduce like detail, like the pressure access, air access for the carburetor on the 4 scale. That's what I did. If you look at the instrument panel, the gun sight, a lot of, and the cockpit is not finished, but the main stuff is done. If you look at the detailed gun sight, all this was done from using SolidWorks, which actually I use on my own. I learned on my own. I didn't take any training course. I just learned how to use SolidWorks. I designed the panel. I used documentation. I designed the gun sight. Use a 3D printer. Clean it up a little bit, depending of the quality you program in your 3D printer. I made a mold. And that's something I can bring and show you how to do. It's pretty simple. There's a store in town, which is great. It's called something. I can bring the name. Okay.
Is it a plastic place?
It's not plastic care, no.
Okay.
No, plastic care does more industrial stuff. It's it'll come back to me. So anyway, it's more an artistic store. But they sell everything for casting, for modeling. They sell carbon fiber. They sell a lot of stuff. And I buy my stuff over there. I buy my resin as well over there. It's cheaper than some of the industrial high-end resin. Okay. The antenna, for example, is just a dowel I carved, and it's just epoxied. Okay, sand, epoxy, sand, and you can see it comes off.
Good idea.
Okay, for transport, you just have a little rod inside, carbon fiber rod. Okay, I can show how to make. Very tight edges. If I can pull it back.
The other way. No.
Go.
Okay, you got it.
For example, if you look at this here, this is my access hatch for my switches. Well, a lot of people ask me, I say, well, how do you make them so tight? I'm supposed to put a little piece on the top to...
Wow.
Okay, so this is the access hatches for the switch. Okay, and I'll explain what's inside right now. Okay, well, how do I make it very tight fit? Okay, well, I can't really explain tonight because it will take probably till tomorrow morning, okay? But I can do a demonstration and I can explain how to do it, because that's something else you can apply on a small airplane as well. Well, the advantage on the small 40 size, 60 size is it's also, I use technique which is very light. It doesn't really add weight to the plane, okay? So another example of things I do, some of you know me. Who doesn't know me here, actually? No. Oh, shut up. Okay. I've been modeling, like, again, for 14. I've been in the club before. I rejoined the club this year. My main interest is scale airplane. I did Top Gun, I did Scale Master, I did a bunch of other things. but I'm really focusing on growing scale technique, and that's why I bring to the table. Okay, and I can be rich. If you have any question, anything you want to know, I have no problem. I don't keep secrets. I'm more than happy to tell you how I do things if you want to know.
You design your own plan to start with?
I'm working with a friend of mine. I'm working on the 6th scale and 5th scale ME410, which is a Messerschmitt twin engine. The 6th scale is 107-inch wingspan. The 5th scale is 138-inch wingspan. We have the plane by 50-55% design on SolidWorks. We also worked on the landing gear on SolidWorks, a functional scale landing gear, which is very complex. So I'm still working on the bugs. So it's a long-term project. So I work also on another airplane, which Joe Appice saw, and some of you saw. Sid knows about it.
The Sea Fury.
Sea Fury, which if you stand the Sea Fury next to this one, it makes this one look like a 60-size airplane.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's huge.
The Sea Fury is going to be about 60 pounds, 55, 60 pounds. He has a 222cc engine. And the technique actually I use on this plane is training and testing also for what I'm going to do on the Sea Fury. The difference with the Sea Fury is I'm reproducing the panel weaving with the rivets. So it's going to have a perspective, a contrast, compared to this one where it's flat. Okay?
This is, I feel like this right here, it looks like two different levels.
It
I
is.
can do that.
Well, the kit being a Baron.
Take until next week
Yeah,
to
yeah,
explain.
yeah. I know, I'm sorry, I shouldn't ask detailed questions like that.
Well,
but I
I've been told they're not
it's
going to kick us out. So
It's amazing, because it looks like steel sheet metal, all coming together.
well, that's how the Corsair, they were overlapping
Right,
panel.
right,
Okay,
and you get that effect.
There's on airplane design, there's joint to joint. Okay, airplane panel, and the Corsair was built, which is an overlap. Okay, and the wing was also the same way. So some of it were already done on the kit, but they were not very sharp. So I use a technique which I use a mix of aeropoxy and microballoon. Aeropoxy is industrial aircraft glue. Some of you might know about it. Very strong glue. I mean, you're going to break the part before you break the joint. And I put 2 different layers of tape, for example, and I just feel the edge only. Okay, it's time consuming, but at the end you get nice edge. And some I really redid myself. All of them were redone to get the edge. Okay, so it gives the impression of raised panel.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
so
beautiful.
if you're interested about those technique, I can show how to do it. Okay, but it will have to be like a schedule and planned for. Sure. Okay, so we don't talk about food, we talk about other things. Okay. For example, like I was talking about those raised panel. Who is familiar with G10 material?
I am.
Okay, so Tom, yeah, because you
use it
work
in
with
combat.
composite. Yeah, you use it in
Yeah,
combat.
yeah.
Okay. So there's a material called G10. It's one of the
Circuit board material.
It's high-pressed, baked fiberglass sheets. Okay, there's many layers. They are used a lot in
Circuit boards.
well, circuit boards, for example. Yeah, circuit boards is a perfect one. Actually, if you want to see G10, this here, the plate here, made here, is G10. It's very hard. It's heat resistant. Okay, and it's also called phelonic. What we call in the electronics industry, phelonic boards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, they come in various thickness, 20,000, 10,000, 5,000. I bought, about 20 years ago, I bought stock from Ecuador, from a Denver company.
Phenolic.
Phenolic, yeah. And so I still have a lot of stock. And for example, panel like this, I use that material. Okay, it's glued with CA. The imitation of the hinges is just styrene, okay, which are notch. Okay, of course it's time consuming, but it gives a nice effect to it. I use for rivets. I made my own ends. I have my lathe. Okay, I learned how to use a lathe a long time ago. I made my own ends to put on welder. You know those cheap welder, $15, soldering iron, which do everything else except soldering. Okay. All right. You know, if you want to solder, do not buy a $15 welder. It will not work. But it makes a great tool to make rivets. Okay. So I machine my own little ends, and with different diameter tip, and that's how I reproduce all the rivets.
You put all those in there by
Do
hand?
not ask me how many there are. I stopped counting after 2. And do not ask me.
roll.
Yeah, do not ask me how long it took me to do this because
How long did it take?
It will take a week to tell you.
many moods.
Yeah, the wings fold up on that too, Bruno?
No, actually, the reason why I didn't bolt the wing is because when I first built the Corsair, for example, you know, there's features on planes that obviously if it's not on it, it's just, you know, it's a Corsair, but it means something. So the Corsair has very interesting features, not only the shape of the plane, but the wing and where it folds.
The gull
okay?
wing. Yeah.
Okay. And this Corsair, first when I put it together, I'm like, you know, the separation, you have the separation of the wing, plugging wing, that's how I transport it, that's how the Byron is. And I'm like, that looked too straight. That doesn't look, it's missing something. So I said, well, how I'm going to reproduce and give it the impression the wings are folding. So you do this by giving
looked like it
giving
would.
an
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I thought it.
and I was actually satisfied with the impression. That's the first time I tried this
Well,
technique.
that's why I asked you, looking at it, I go, man, do those wings fold?
And that's what I want to give the impression and say, well, people's going to ask me, I said, man, you have folding wings. I say, no. But what I do is I change the panel.
Whoa.
Okay. So if you look here, I do different overlapping in using the material G10. This is 10,000 G10. And this is 10,000 G10. Okay? By inserting an overlapping panel and giving the impression, because the panel is actually like real. Okay? Of course, it's fragile, but it gives the impression that the wing's going to fold. Okay?
You had us
It
fooled.
took me an hour to do that, but you can do this
worth
on
it.
a small 40 size Corsair because the weight of this
Almost
is
full scale.
nothing. Okay?
G10 is super.
You just have to be careful when you transport it. Okay? But if you want to do something different, not have the semi-plane as everybody else, those are little details you can do, and I can show how to do this. Okay? This one has a sliding canopy, so that's pretty complex. Are you familiar with sphere jelly actuators? Those are linear actuators. They are the same.
Screw.
They use a linear
act-
screw.
Linear
Screw.
actuator.
Linear actuator.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Servo City sell them. They are great. So they can be bought in different lengths. This one has a travel, I believe, 110 millimeter. So it's a very long actuator.
You have a linear actuator in that canopy.
They have a
Does that canopy close itself?
yes.
Oh, that is so cool.
So I just for the heck of it,
That is so cool.
for the heck of it, I'm just gonna have it actuating. And what I did is
I
because
see the rail it's on.
I try to keep
Yeah.
things simple in actuation, so I do not want to put the cockpit on. I don't want to put the canopy on his own switch because I got ignition, I got automatic shut off, I got my choke. Talk about 13 channels, so I want to try to simplify things. So the canopy is combined, mixed with the flaps. Okay. So what is nice with the Corsair, for example, such airplane, you don't do it with a Mustang, you don't do it with a Sea Fury. But when you bring a Corsair to land, it's nice to come dirty, canopy open, full
Look at
flaps, and turning on the deck. I think that's what when we see a Corsair, that's what we want to see.
The reason for that was to get the pilot out in case of a crash.
Yeah, this one's going to stay in there even if it crashes. Okay. So
I'll like check that out.
Oh, yeah.
I got the flaps.
That's like the coolest thing.
It's because the wing
That
is
is
not.
too cool.
Bruno, that is so cool.
And so that's not my first lining canopy, but this one, I use a simple, it's actually pretty simple, the mechanism. I use only one actuator. In most canopy, you probably want two actuators, one on the rail.
Sink 'em, yeah.
And I say for the weight and save me half the cost, I say, well, I'm going to put on the one servo. And you can see, I mean, that actuator works pretty hard.
Half the brain.
You can hear it, yeah, you can hear it's working.
I just,
So the canopy doesn't go like this.
yeah, yeah, no, but so I use carbon fiber rods. Okay, so it's a frame of carbon fiber rods, and it comes just above and between the plate for the switch here. Okay, it's connected to the initial, the first one of the rail. Of course, your rail have to be pretty smooth. And I open my rails, I slot my rails in my CNC machine. So, you know.
Wow.
And you know those roll-barred plastic tees for fuel? Okay. Well, I use those to make a frame. Okay, and they're all connected to center with the actuator. And that's all it is. So the thing is not even announced, the frame. Okay. And the connector, the actuator is bolted somewhere around here. So it can extend pretty long.
Wow.
Okay, because I need 110 millimeter travel. So when I put the flaps down, the canopy is going to open as well. Okay.
Is that so? There's a rod.
That's the track and the rod you can see. But when you don't really see it because it's black.
No, I didn't notice till I got up
Okay.
close. That's actually the threaded rod.
It's not
Is that-
threaded,
or-
no, that's a
That's
straight
the carbon
rod.
fiber. So all the threaded stuff is back here pushing both
The
rods,
actuator-
One linear actuator is going
Yeah.
like
pushing
this.
two rods.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two rods, there's a frame for the strength.
Gotcha.
And comes to an end, and in the center
Yeah, we
there's
can
an
see.
attachment point where it's attached to
pulling and
the
pushing,
the actuator. Okay,
Yeah, I
and
can
the
see it.
actuator is bolted to a hard point at the end.
Right.
Okay, so
That is so slick. That
that's
is
not
slick.
the flying prop. Okay,
Yeah,
so
No.
okay,
very cool.
it's this airplane actually. Something else is if you look at the elevator. If you look
Oh,
at the
wow.
elevator, you have the balance tab. It's
Yeah.
actually functional. Okay, so far I didn't put it on the other side because those going to be put after I pen the plane. But if you look on the right side, you can see the balance tab actuating actually.
Yeah, that is slick.
So, okay.
One quick question. Where do you find Byron kits?
Oh gosh, this one I have this one for about 15 years.
Oh, okay.
Had two kit. The first one I bought it was pre-built, which I modified a lot, and it sucks because they fly wonderful.
Oh, Byron kits were awesome.
Yeah, they
Bruno,
fly
how
wonderful.
hard was the CG adjustment?
In my basement right
Well, you don't do the CG until the plane is ready to fly. So because you have paint,
Pits,
so
P47, and I've got a
I still have to add the batteries. I got two batteries for the electronics. I got 3,000 milliamps for electronics, 5 cell. I just have one more battery. It's going to be for the starter and the ignition. Okay, and it's going to have a toggle switch on the side.
You're missing only one item over the actuator.
Yeah,
I don't think he's gonna stick that on that one.
yeah, that's not scary.
Probably you wouldn't want to.
No.
That turns into an
I
FPV.
think you're going to learn about me quickly.
Not put any glue on the
You
outside
know,
of that
simply
plane.
because not only that, but you don't have telemetry on it.
Of course, right.
And no telemetry, no FPV.
What prop do you use? Just a two blade?
It's going to use 2410 carbon fiber two blade.
Two blade.
Yeah. That's my second engine. The first one got destroyed.
That's outstanding construction. How long it took, you said? You didn't answer
Oh,
that
I don't
question.
know. How long it took me to build it?
Let's say the labor, yeah, how much so far?
I don't know. I don't count.
Just like he didn't count the rivets.
Yeah, I don't look.
I mean, these rivets,
You know,
so straight.
and if you look underneath
$1 per hour. That's
the gear door actually are the scale gear door. I made the mold of everything underneath here. If you look the insert of the gear door,
So this is pneumatic, right? It's going in. I saw some
Yes, pneumatic.
air.
Then you go
the
back
tail
over.
wheel is electric.
This electric, right?
Because just to do without just by eye or whatever, rule or something, sooner or later you're going to screw up.
Worked all this.
That makes sense.
I've done it before.
Okay.
That's why. This is my third 6-scale Corsair, and
You get better on each one.
yeah.
That's all right.
Did you do any maiden yet with this?
No, you don't.
It's not
I
there
won't
yet.
made it until I got everything installed. I'm still working on the cowl.
Right.
The cowl's gonna have the detail, and it's gonna have functional
Sure.
Oh, the
flaps, cowl flaps.
Wow.
Well done, Bruno. It's amazing, outstanding construction.
Well, how many
You know, I just
servos-
graduated as an electrical engineer in the spring.
Right.
I went back to school.
That's true.
You know, so I might have a question for you because you're
Of course.
expert.
Sure. Yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
So how many servos for the cow flaps?
one.
B17.
One will actuate.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that
One,
mechanism.
It's a cable like the full scale one actuator, and it's sold by cable and pulley, and you pull the whole thing together. And default is open because they spring loaded.
Gotcha. So you're just pulling
And
against
under
the spring.
tension, they close.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can
And
see that.
the cowl flaps have a thermal triggered actuator.
So they'll be automatic when it heats up in there.
So
it'll open up.
when the temperature inside is hot, it's gonna open the cowl flaps.